Welcome everybody in the room. Hello Excellencies, distinguished guests. Welcome to the launch of the Bioeconomy Challenge, and already now a big thank you for all of you who have contributed to this tremendous effort. Thank you for making time, everybody, and it's a perfect follow-up what we have been discussing before just here in the room, the talk about the Forest Finance Solution Dialogue. Why is this topic so important, and why are we discussing today the translation of the G20 work on the high-level principles of the bioeconomy here and how to action this? I'm Harald Friedl. I work in the Climate Champions team with champion Dan Joschbe on the topic of bioeconomy. In the activation group number 29, we have worked in the last months to bring all the stakeholders together to make more of this agenda, and I'm welcoming all of you and take you to the program today. I want to give you 3 quick stories as I'm working on this topic globally. One is, please remind and remember the number 30 trillion. This is a 30 trillion market economy until 2050. Why is this so important? Because it creates jobs. And I have brought this from a meeting yesterday from a wonderful social enterprise, Tucum, with one here in Brazil, one of the leaders on the topic. And I was discussing with the person, the founder, Amanda, who told me the real impact on the bioeconomy is that these social enterprises work with the people on the ground. She works with 4,000 action heroes in many parts of the country here in Brazil. And there's more money in the pocket of the leaders on the ground. This piece has 400% more economic value, and therefore also more income for the local societies, because the work is put in a more coordinated effort. And I want to tell you another story. It's not only here happening in Brazil. I had 2 months ago in September a conversation with a Maori elder called Glenn in Auckland in New Zealand, just out on the west coast. And he told me, you know, we have been so disappointed with the economy. We have been felt that we were in an extractive situation where we did not want to engage anymore. But the bioeconomy for us, as the stewards of the land, gives us trust. I'm an economist, and I tell you there is not much trust left in the old economy. So today we're discussing how we can reinvigorate this trust in the economy, also through a bioeconomy lens. Why is this engagement possible? There was a lot of work in the G20 around the bioeconomy high-level principles, and now we are discussing how to make that happen, how we are turning them into a mutirao, into a collective response of action on the ground. And as we all know by now, it's a COP of implementation. So we have invited 6 fantastic implementers, also excellencies, but implementers who are asked to join us here on the stage while I name them. Minister Marina Silva, could you please join us here on the stage? Minister of Environment and Climate Change of Brazil. Minister Carsten Schneider, the Federal Minister of Environment, Climate Action, Nature Conservation and Nuclear Safety of Germany, and he's also a member of the Bioeconomy Challenge Steering Committee. Minister, please. Minister Mary Craig, Minister of Nature of the Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs of the United Kingdom. She here. Hopefully Minister Craig will join us. Ambassador Mauricio Carvalho Lirio, he is Secretary of Climate, Energy and Environment in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Brazil. Mr. Juan Carlos Hintiak, Executive Secretary of Global Alliance of Territorial Communities. And Ms. Jenny Dodson, Senior Director for Policy Advocacy and Member Mobilization at the WBCSD, and also member of the Bioeconomy Challenge Steering Committee. There's one question to all of you: how do we turn this into action? And what is the role of the bioeconomy in the international arena in the context of the 3-year challenge being announced today? And as a first speaker, and please, would be great if you could all keep to 5 minutes, Mr. Mauricio Lirio from the MFA of Brazil. Please, Minister.
Dear Excellencies, Minister Marina Silva, Minister of Environment and Climate Change of Brazil, Minister Carsten Schneider, Federal Minister for the Environment, Climate Action, Nature and Conservation and Nuclear Safety of Germany, Mr. Juan Carlos Giantiac, Executive Secretary of Global Alliance of Territorial Communities, and Mrs. Jenny Dodson, Senior Director for Policy, Advocacy and Member Mobilization at the World Business Council for Sustainable Development. And also, COP30 Special Envoy for Bioeconomy. I have the pleasure to have Marcelo Bear here. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great pleasure and honor to address you all here in Belém. I would like to thank you all for being present here today as we gather strength and courage to tackle climate change. To talk about bioeconomy is to talk about sustainable development. Since last year, Brazil has been promoting the placement of the development agenda at the center of multilateral cooperation. From the G20 to BRICS to COP30, we have been working towards strengthening multilateralism and global governance itself to face global challenges such as hunger, poverty, and climate change. Brazil firmly believes that the bioeconomy is far more than just an economic and productive paradigm. It is one of the most powerful tools we have to integrate the social, environmental, and economic dimensions of sustainable development. It is an essential part of the signal of hope we send to the world from Belém. Just last year, Brazil took a pioneering step during our G20 presidency as we launched the first major diplomatic instance dedicated to advancing bioeconomy, the G20 Initiative on Bioeconomy, GIB. And I remember well, Minister Marina, the day the president of COP30 called me. I was the Sherpa of Brazil in G20, but by that time it was the presidency of India. And André called me to say, we need to create an initiative on bioeconomy in G20. And I said, André, we have already 15 working groups for the Brazilian presidency, and we created 2 task forces, one on hunger and the other one on climate and financing. But he said, no, I talked with Minister Marina, I talked with Minister Haddad, we need to do that. And I said, well, I relinquished. With these 3 leaders, what could I do? And so we created this initiative on bioeconomy in G20. As a result of that effort, we successfully secured the G20 high-level principles on bioeconomy, HLPs, the first intergovernmental agreement of its kind. These high-level principles on bioeconomy represent the ethical and operational backbone of the G20 vision for global bioeconomy. They emerged from the need to ensure that the great potential of this productive paradigm based on biological resources will not repeat the mistakes of previous models, which often place efficiency over equity and sustainability. It was with this collective sentiment that the document was negotiated among G20 members, which represents over 85% of the global GDP. In practice, they function as a guiding compass in strong alignment with the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, providing a direction for governments, the private sector, and the academy to develop policies, investments, and innovations in a sustainable way. This leader in bioeconomy is not an isolated endeavor. In fact, Brazil's consecutive leadership of the G20 and BRICS, culminating in COP30, reflects a profound strategic coherence in our foreign policy. These presidencies are not just sequential events, but interconnected pillars of a deliberate vision to place sustainable development at the very heart of multilateral governance. And I remember well the emphasis that President Lula has said, we need to use, in the good sense, G20, BRICS, and COP to bring the sustainable development for the center of the international agenda, which is too much concentrated on geopolitical conflicts and other issues that, I would say, make us farther away from the effective challenge that we have, including fighting climate change. Within the G20, we champion the bioeconomy. Through BRICS, we foster dialogue on sustainable development and climate justice. And here at COP, we will consolidate these efforts by grounding climate ambition in social inclusion and environmental stewardship. This integrated approach embodies Brazil's historical commitment to a multilateralism that harmonizes economic growth, social equity, and the environment. It ensures that decisions across the world's main economic and political forums translate into tangible and ambitious outcomes. Our actions demonstrate that with political will and clear objectives, we can and will achieve sustainable development worldwide. We commend the South African presidency of G20, the current one, under which bioeconomy has been advancing further, focusing on the crucial pillars of metrics and indicators, as well as finance for the implementation of bioeconomy, always driven by equity and sustainability. The launch of the Group of Friends on Bioeconomy for Sustainable Food and Agriculture at FAO is another case in point. Building on the high-level principles, this initiative strengthens multilateral guidance for FAO's bioeconomy work and supports member states in embedding the bioeconomy in agri-food systems, reinforcing multilateralism and cooperation. We warmly invite all FAO countries to join the Group of Friends. But what does this commitment mean in practice? For Brazil, it means integrating bioeconomy into climate change debates, emphasizing its contribution to the eradication of hunger and poverty, and the promotion of traditional knowledge and modern science. On the economic front, it means strengthening sustainable markets, fostering innovative business models, and generating decent jobs in the bioindustry. Doing so also means ensuring that indigenous peoples and local communities are not only beneficiaries, but co-designers of solutions. With their free, prior, and informed participation, we will value and protect traditional knowledge, enable fair and transparent benefit sharing, and support community-led value chains that add local value while safeguarding ecosystems. Women and youth in these communities will be central partners in this effort. A tangible example of this, Brazil's national strategy on bioeconomy, launched in 2024, demonstrates how a holistic bioeconomy paradigm can drive sustainable use of biological resources, foster equitable benefit sharing, and promote ecosystems restoration. And finally, for the very first time in the history of COPs, bioeconomy has been placed as a key objective of the COP30 Action Agenda, Objective 29, Bioeconomy and Biotechnology. We dedicated not one, but 2 thematic days to deep, meaningful discussions on how to unleash its full potential, and we are happy to celebrate the great results we achieved together. We are inspired by this unprecedented opportunity to translate principles into action. This conference not only showcases Brazil's commitment to a sustainable and inclusive bioeconomy, but also serves as a global platform to boost collaboration, innovation, and shared solutions. Today, we gather to celebrate this multi-stakeholder initiative, the Bioeconomy Challenge, which is set out to give us many more reasons to celebrate during and after its 3-year lifespan. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for this very clear call to action and for the work being done. The next speaker, please, to the stage, Mr. Juan Carlos Hintiak.
Very good afternoon to everyone. Enshwar, Chicham, Pangapuram, Chichaste. Yo tengo un regalo para la señora ministra. Esos productos vienen del territorio. Indigenous family, indigenous people that we are living in the territory, giving the life, protecting. How many people live in the territory, in the Amazon Basin, Congo Basin, all the tropics? 1 billion is in our hands. 1 billion hectares in our hands. Youth, elders, and the knowledge, traditional knowledge. We talk to the trees. We talk to the animals. We are part of the ecosystem. Can you put just my one picture there? So, indigenous people rights, big pledge, millions of dollars, flying is not going in the ground. 1% is only for indigenous people. Still, we are dying. They're killing us minute by minute, my elders, my people. The data is there. Also, if we don't secure our territory, we are nobody. We disappear. We need to have this call in these COPs. You have to talk to the people. You have to look at me, look at us. Come to visit me. You see that the amazing things that we are doing. It's a very privilege to be here, señora ministra, con los ministros, because I bring in the voice from the ground to international arena. But you can make the decisions in the paper. That is very important for us. I will go back home. I can see, minute by minute, my river is getting destroyed. Minute by minute, the waters with mercury. I am talking about this map, all the biomas, all the ecosystems. We live there. Imagine there, you have the data, you have the numbers, you have the information. I'm not going to lie here. So all knowledge, traditional knowledge, is our voice for elder centuries that we are living there, protecting this bioma, contributing to the world. We cannot leave to anyone behind. When we go back, I can see the destroying of the Mother Earth, minute by minute, and then we protect that. So our contribution to the planet, to what we are doing, what the governments are doing, just listen to us, look at us, because the answer is us. Secure our land, and we can continue living there. We are going to give this territory for the world and for the generation. We are not going to different other planet. This is an amazing opportunity. I bring these beautiful products from the rainforest. This is one of the examples. We are no bioeconomy. We are no, in this anachronism, we are indigenous ancestors economy. That's what we want to do. We are going to transform this, and we want to connect with you. Help us, mothers and elders, my generations is coming on behind, the kids. Don't lose the hope. I have this trust. We believe that TFFF, GATC is collaborating. Free peer yes, we are building because we don't have to lose the loss. Finally, I really appreciate, I congratulate this opportunity. to give me the voice on behalf of all the indigenous organizations. We have a governance, we have history, we have territory, we have contributors, and we have proposals. That's what we are doing. Talk to the people, visit us, work with us. Thank you very much to give me this opportunity.
Thank you so much for this emotional and very clear shout out to indigenous people that are often the stewards of the land. Thank you so much. Senior Director Jenny Dodson, please, next for your remarks. On the stage.
Thank you so much. I think that's a hard to follow, and I think, yeah, maybe we just need to take a moment to absorb that and just breathe it in. I think many times we don't take that moment in these spaces to just absorb and hear and feel. So thank you so much. And thank you, Excellencies, thank you, Ministers. Thank you to all of you who are here. All of you that are bringing your energy and your ideas and your solutions to this incredible space and this incredible moment that we're here for, not just today, here now, but across the 2 weeks. So the bioeconomy is very close to my heart as well. This is where I started as a scientist on a scientific journey. I studied in PhD in the UK, and then also a postdoctorate in Brazil focused on the bioeconomy. And this is a really critical pillar of the transition, alongside many other things that we're discussing here these couple of weeks. So alongside the energy transition, alongside methane reduction, alongside the transition away from fossil fuels. But it's been a poor orphan. I think it hasn't got the attention, it hasn't got the engagement, it hasn't brought in the people perhaps as other solutions have done. And so I think huge congratulations to Brazil on the G20 bioeconomy principles for really putting this at the center and making this a critical part of the discussions, not just here, but beyond these four walls. And so during my time as a researcher and scientist, I really saw what you were saying about how this can deliver economic benefits, it can deliver for the climate, deliver social benefits, but also biodiversity. And I just want to give you a couple of examples. So I worked with seaweed farmers out in the islands, the Northern Hebrides, off the coast of Scotland in the UK. And seaweed is incredible. And I think this is the thing about everything that's part of the bioeconomy. Really, really fascinating as a chemist. So, seaweed can provide waxes that can help to reduce the need for pesticides on crops. It can produce medicines. It can be a fertilizer. It can even reduce methane from cows. It can be a fuel. It can produce medicines, but I think beyond that as well, it is also an economic source for the farmers there, and also it delivers biodiversity benefits. So if the seaweed is produced, it also increases the biomass carbon stock, but also increases biodiversity. And so working with these farmers, we were able to help them see the opportunity, so still deliver the core benefits that they wanted to deliver, but also provide these high-value products that enabled new innovations, but also to shift away from fossil fuel technologies. And in Brazil, I worked with farmers on citrus farmers. And again, so much orange juice produced in Brazil, but again, orange, the waste around orange or the pith around orange is incredible. Again, there's incredible waxes that can be used. There's pectin that's obviously used in food products, but also you can use it to produce porous materials to clean water. And so these, things that we don't necessarily think of as incredible sources of value, of knowledge, of food stuff, but also of economic potential and opportunity. But in the past year, so I always thought of it as a sort of industrial opportunity to produce fuels, new chemicals, but I've been able to learn from my dear friend, Marcelo Bahar, the Special Envoy for Bioeconomy, and also our partners, Cervejas, who are working a lot on the bioeconomy, that this is beyond that, right? It's so many different pillars and elements of it. It's about standing forests, it's about agricultural transformation, it's about the socio-bioeconomy that we heard about there, and also about circularity. And we're really delighted to be part of this work to make sure that this effort can really bring forward all of those different elements of opportunity. And so WBCSD works with many companies around the world, lots of major companies committed to the transformation and working on coalitions of action to drive forward progress, also with our partners in national context. So Cervejas here in Brazil, but other partners in other countries. And I just want to give you two examples of areas of work linked to these different pillars of the bioeconomy. So one on agriculture and food, called the Landscape Accelerator Brazil, and the other on the Global Circularity Protocol, which can help with this circularity element. So the Landscape Accelerator for Brazil is a really innovative approach. We heard there the importance of bringing together various different stakeholders to really listen, to understand, see the opportunity and work out the solutions. So this is a multi-stakeholder engagement focused on how to transform the landscapes in the Cerrado and the Amazon to scale regenerative agriculture, working in partnership with companies, financiers, governments, civil society, farmers, absolutely critical for these discussions. And that's looking at various different ways then to transform and enable the transition, so blended finance mechanisms, MRV systems with harmonized metrics, policy alignment, so around things such as land use regulation, modernized land registry, and incentives. And this has now shown or got a group of different organizations and businesses and finances who are working towards investing $5 billion by 2030. But critically, this could add $28 billion of value per year to Brazil's economy and benefit 600,000 producers. And there's an opportunity for other countries to learn and replicate this and take this to other landscapes. Another example, so the Global Circularity Protocol has been launched this week, and this is the first time that's been metrics and approaches for how businesses can assess and report on circularity. And this is really critical for the bioeconomy, but many other aspects as well, is really how can we, what I was doing as a chemist was really designing things from the beginning of their life so that they are designed for their end of life and can be circular. And this is about incentivizing those processes and those economic models to really ensure that countries can benefit from these circular models, and we can really incentivize that shift. But I think a few things that we really need, and we've heard that I hope this bioeconomy challenge can work on. So we need strong will from politicians, from businesses, from finance actors, from the people for this transition. We really need to create the mechanisms to scale up. So particularly on demand pill, how can we ensure that these are products, these are solutions that people want, that people need, that are attractive, that they want to engage in? So how can we get this to more scale? How can we make these approaches the norm? And I think, as we've heard, it's absolutely critical that the social dimension is integrated. We are not going to get these shifts if there's not buy-in, if there's not support, if people don't see the opportunity. So we're delighted to be part of this and looking forward to what we can achieve together over the next few years. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now, Excellency Mary Craig, please. Please, here's the stage.
Hello. And can I say what a privilege it is to be standing here with my dear friends from Brazil and my dear friend Juan Carlos as well. And can I begin by also saying to Juan Carlos that we have heard the voices of indigenous peoples and local communities, and that the UK stands with you to make sure that we can protect the forests and the coastal communities that you represent. And can I pay tribute to you for being such a powerful voice for those, frankly, forgotten peoples. And last time I saw you, Marina, we were in New York. You were receiving the WCS Distinguished Leadership in Conservation Award for your work in defending nature here in Brazil. It's such an honor to be here today with you in Belém at the gateway to the Amazon, and to have around us this reminder of what we are working for every day to protect and restore. And the science here is clear. We need to adapt to a rapidly warming world. We need to move away from non-renewable fossil fuels and practices that degrade nature. And the scale of the transformation we need is huge. Biomaterials, bioplastics, biofuels offer an opportunity to support growth for the poorest people whilst decreasing our emissions. And we are going to need all of our science, all of our companies, all of our innovation capabilities to create new projects, new products. And we use, for example, engineering biology to produce medicines from genetically modified organisms. In the UK, companies are innovating towards these more sustainable models. For example, Oxford Nanopore Technologies are developing portable DNA, RNA sequencing for biodiversity and healthcare. Arborea are a biotech company growing nutrient-rich microalgae on non-arable land, back to the seaweeds. All of this ancient knowledge that particularly in the British Isles, we had all this stuff, but because we were the first to industrialize back in the 1850s, all of that local wisdom, local knowledge was dismissed, was lost, and we need to recreate and re-find it again. The bioeconomy is at the heart of these transformations. It presents an opportunity to align economic development with nature recovery and climate resilience. The bioeconomy will open new markets for trade and investment, and it will create green jobs and a greener society. Yesterday, I visited an Amazon Fund project that the UK has funded just maybe 5 or 10 miles away from here, working with the non-stinging bees of the Amazon. I'm very pleased to see that you have non-stinging bees in Brazil, because we do not enjoy that in the UK. We have more aggressive bees. And making sure that people who are living in the forests have this crucial supplement to their income. We in the UK are planting new forests, and as we think about how we can make money from those forests, because we have to be able to make sure that there are sustainable livelihoods, I was thinking, why aren't we bringing bees into our forests that we are planting as a country? So there is a huge opportunity, not for us to know everything, but for us to learn with humility from each other. So we have, the UK's industrial strategy was published in June, and it focuses on 8 sectors, including advanced manufacturing, clean energy, and life sciences. These are central to the bioeconomy. So we want to create the conditions for private investment in high-risk, high-reward technologies to drive and pull through innovation. By positioning these sectors as hubs of sustainable growth, we will propel our economic model towards valuing nature. We can decarbonize our sectors and improve the resilience of company supply chains. And Brazil is setting the pace for bioeconomy work globally. It started with their G20 presidency in 2024, where you secured agreement for high-level principles. And it continues now with this COP presidency. The bioeconomy challenge brings further momentum. It will address the gaps for establishing a global bioeconomy. It will crowd in innovation and expertise with working groups that provide forums for discussion, bringing it through, pulling it through into policies and people's consciousness, moving from a theoretical construct into practical applications. How do we measure the impact of the bioeconomy on the planet? How can we grow markets sustainably to produce bio-based products? How can we value them, put a true value on those products? And through UK Pact, a flagship programme under the UK's International Climate Finance, we have provided £1.2 million to support Brazil develop their national bioeconomy plan. Through the Partnerships for Forests programme, we have provided £24 million from over the last 6 years, from 2018 to 2024, to support early-stage forest-friendly businesses and mobilise private finance. And this includes Brazil's flagship bioeconomy priority plan in the Manaus Free Trade Zone. And through the Red for Early Movers programme, we have invested £58 million to support countries taking ambitious action to protect forests. This has included support to sustainable forest-based supply chains in the Brazilian states of Acre and Mato Grosso. We are also engaging in the development of Mato Grosso's bioeconomy plan, working at regional and sub-regional scales. The UK shares Brazil's passion for creating a bioeconomy focused on equity and social inclusion, championing and respecting cultural heritage, ensuring that all benefits are shared fairly and sustainably with Indigenous peoples and local communities who are on the front line of climate change. So let me conclude by saying we need new ways of organising society to meet our ambitious climate and nature targets. Nature must be at the heart of those climate targets. The bioeconomy provides a way forward to do that. The sustainable growth it brings that is climate resilient and nature positive is something we can all get behind. So thank you, Brazil. The UK is very proud to work with you.
Thank you, Minister, for pointing out these very clear, innovative examples of bioeconomy. Minister Schneider, please, for your speech.
Yeah, Minister Marina Silva, your colleagues, Juan Carlos, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for welcoming us and attending this important meeting. First of all, I want to congratulate Brazil for hosting this COP. It's great to be here. It's a remarkable place and a beautiful country, but the heart of the people that I met makes me happy. And thank you very much for hosting the world here in Brazil. It couldn't be a better place than Belém, because Belém shows social questions and it shows the tropical forest to the world and the problems that we are going to solve. And Juan Carlos, you are seen. Your friends, your colleagues are seen. I had the opportunity, it's the first time I'm here in Brazil. I had the opportunity to meet guys from Kayapo yesterday, who are affected by the deforestation, who are affected by illegal mining. And for me and my government and the European Union, I can say that we support your interests. We take them into account, especially the question of deforestation and the lives that you want to live and that you could live as you did it before. I congratulate Brazil and Brazilian COP presidency on the launch of the Bioeconomy Challenge. Brazil is, as mentioned, a national and international leader in the field of bioeconomy. Important successes have been achieved at national level, such as a national bioeconomy strategy. This shows great commitment, especially on the part of the Environment Ministry. Brazil is a pioneer at international level. Under the Brazilian G20 presidency, the high-level principles on bioeconomy were developed, as my colleague mentioned. These principles not only take into account the economic and social dimension of sustainability, but also centrally anchor climate and environmental aspects. The link between these three components is important to me. The success of the initiative is also reflected in the fact that South Africa has continued this work during its presidency this year. I'm pleased that you are now making these principles tangible with the Bioeconomic Challenge and translating them into concrete action with the involvement of various stakeholders. Germany is a reliable partner in these efforts. We all live in challenging times, especially now. The prospect of a sustainable and circular bioeconomy is one that gives me hope. It has a potential to combine environmental protection, the economy, I'm an economist too, and social equity. I'm a social democrat too. But I don't know if you are one, but I'm one. It can create economic opportunities while respecting traditional knowledge and protecting nature. To achieve our climate and nature conservation goals, we must prevent our ecosystems from being further destroyed. And I have seen yesterday, the plane flying via the Amazonas, the mining, the illegal mining, I've seen the degraded forests, and I've seen tropical forest as it should be, with beautiful canopies. It is where the indigenous people were living. You are the protectors of these forests. Thank you very much. You do a great job for all of the world, in Berlin, in Munich, in London, and the rest. Furthermore, bioeconomy can build a bridge between the climate and biodiversity agendas. To this end, we need to see biomass as a valuable carbon sink that we should protect. However, the possibilities for producing biomass sustainably are finite. But the demand for biomass for the energy, chemicals, construction, and other sectors is growing, as you mentioned. This is something we should talk about. I'm grateful to our Brazilian partners for continuously creating opportunities for these discussions. You can count on the German government's support for this work going forward. We are happy to contribute to the challenge. Our expertise gained from years of implementing a national bioeconomic strategy and our experience, especially in the European context. And we look forward to continuing our close cooperation within the framework of the G20 Bioeconomic Initiative. I would also like to mention our bilateral and multilateral commitment. Tomorrow we are launching our project with Brazil, Networks for Conservation, not conversation. We do conversation here, it's conservation. You're all invited to that. Not only the conversation, but also to this event. The project aims to support Brazil's ambitious plans to combat deforestation. To this end, we are strengthening the value chain of regional products grown in an environmentally friendly manner and in harmony with nature. Ladies and gentlemen, dear Marina, I would like to invite you to join us at the German Pavilion at 5:30 today. This is where we officially launch this year's large grants call of the International Climate Initiative. This year's call prioritizes projects that focus on integrated bioeconomic approaches for resilience boosting, climate action, and biodiversity conservation. We will make up to 50 million euros available for these projects. I look forward to our continued cooperation for bioeconomy that respects our planet and the people. A bioeconomy that preserves our ecosystems and their diversity, strengthens social equity, and allows our economies to grow sustainably. Thank you very much, and to my Brazilian friends, I hope that you will have a great success with this challenge and with this year's COP. Thanks.
Thank you, Minister, for this message of support for sustainable, inclusive bioeconomy. And as the next speaker, please, to the stage, Minister Marina Silva. We're looking very much forward to your remarks.
É um prazer estar aqui com todos vocês nessa sala tão cheia de pessoas interessadas na bioeconomia. E quero cumprimentar aqui o embaixador Maurício Lírio, representando o ministro de Relações Exteriores do Brasil. Quero cumprimentar também a Mary, do Reino Unido, que está conosco. Cumprimento também o ministro da Alemanha, Schneider. Muito obrigada por suas presenças. Querido Juan Carlos, da GATC. E cumprimento também Janine, que aqui representa como membro do Comitê Gestor do Desafio de Bioeconomia. E acho que é um dia muito especial e eu quero cumprimentar todos que estão aqui nessa plateia, na pessoa da minha secretária nacional de Bioeconomia, que trabalhou tanto no Ministério para que nós tivéssemos, junto com o Ministério de Relações Exteriores, Ministério da Economia, como já disse o embaixador Lírio, essa iniciativa sobre bioeconomia durante o G20, que produziu os 10 princípios de alto nível da bioeconomia e que agora estão aqui se materializando em várias ações. Quero iniciar expressando meu profundo reconhecimento pelo consenso construído aqui hoje e pelo apoio internacional demonstrado ao desafio de bioeconomia. Agradeço especialmente aos ministros da Alemanha e do Reino Unido por reafirmarem o forte respaldo global aos 10 princípios de alto nível do G20 para a bioeconomia. Registro também nossa gratidão aos membros já confirmados do Comitê Diretivo, como os representantes do Conselho Empresarial Mundial para o Desenvolvimento Sustentável e a Aliança Global de Comunidades, Territórios e os futuros integrantes que seguem dialogando conosco nessa construção coletiva. Durante esses dias, nós temos ouvido uma palavra que eu acho que ressoou muito dentro dessa COP, desde a cúpula, que é a ideia de mapas do caminho. E eu queria dizer que a bioeconomia, que seria um mapa do caminho para conseguir 1,3 trilhão para o financiamento, mapa do caminho para sair da dependência do uso de combustível fóssil, e o mapa do caminho para que a gente possa zerar desmatamento, que tem até uma data já proposta de 2030. E o Brasil é um país que já tem um compromisso assumido de zerar desmatamento até 2030. Por que eu estou dizendo isso? Porque a bioeconomia é parte já essencial de um mapa do caminho para o fim do desmatamento, para promover a transição justa na direção de um novo ciclo de prosperidade. Há alguns anos atrás, a bioeconomia sempre existiu. Eu mesma sei que lá no meu estado do Acre, aqui no estado do Pará, no estado do Amazonas, na maioria dos estados da Amazônia, durante quase um século, a nossa economia era a bioeconomia. E isso representava cerca de 33% da nossa economia, das nossas exportações, mas não tinha esse nome de bioeconomia. Era um processo difícil, porque naquele tempo era um ciclo de exploração que não dava oportunidade nem para os trabalhadores, os seringueiros, como era o meu pai, como fui eu, e ainda expulsou uma boa parte, e de forma violenta, dos povos indígenas da Amazônia. Que bom que estamos trabalhando agora os princípios da bioeconomia, estamos trabalhando uma bioeconomia que não vai deixar ninguém para trás e também não vai remover a floresta, não vai destruir a biodiversidade. Então, se a gente é capaz de criar um novo ciclo de prosperidade, nós seremos capazes de proteger a floresta. Eu gostaria de ressaltar também 3 principais mecanismos que explicam o quanto a bioeconomia tem essa relação virtuosa com proteção de biodiversidade, de recursos hídricos, de comunidades locais. É que a bioeconomia, em primeiro lugar, ela substitui a economia predatória por uma economia sustentável e regenerativa, que parte dos produtos da própria biodiversidade e é capaz de produzir alimentos, fármacos, cosméticos, fibras, bioinsumos, biomateriais, conhecimento tradicional. Uma outra questão uma segunda questão importante é que a bioeconomia gera valor agregado, mantendo a floresta em pé. E a gente fala valor agregado, gera valor agregado. Agregado ao quê? Agregado ao valor que a floresta já tem, que a biodiversidade já tem, que a sociobiodiversidade já tem. Vai agregar mais valor, porque o maior valor da floresta, com certeza, são os serviços ecossistêmicos que ela presta. O maior valor da floresta é a sua capacidade, como é o caso da Amazônia, de produzir 20 bilhões de toneladas de água por dia. Alguém tem ideia, se essa água tivesse que ser bombeada, quanto precisaria de energia? Precisaria de cerca de 30 mil Itaipus para bombear essa água. A natureza faz isso de graça. Só o vento, o sol e a floresta. Imagina o que é um investimento para 30 mil Itaipu. Então, é um valor agregado. E agregado também, a gente fala na tecnologia, nas coisas que vão nos ajudar a conseguir ter mais ganho com essa fonte. Por quê? Porque nós também já temos os conhecimentos tradicionais associados. Quando a gente fala da alta tecnologia, da ciência, nós temos que saber que as comunidades indígenas têm conhecimentos tradicionais associados à biodiversidade. E é incrível como essa ciência funciona. E funciona muito. Se você partir de uma pesquisa, alhures, não sei se tem como traduzir isso que eu falei agora, se você partir de uma pesquisa aleatória na floresta para encontrar um fármaco, um cosmético, você precisará de 10 mil amostras que sejam dissecadas. Se você partir do conhecimento das comunidades indígenas e locais associada aos recursos da biodiversidade, você precisa apenas de 1000. Você vai diminuir o trabalho do cientista em 1000 vezes. Por quê? Porque parte de um conhecimento milenar, ancestral. Então, a bioeconomia gera esse novo ciclo de integração. E, em terceiro lugar, a bioeconomia fortalece os povos indígenas e as comunidades, exatamente por isso que eu acabo de falar assim. Quando comunidades têm renda sustentável da floresta, diminui as pressões por desmatamento ilegal e ocupação predatória. Eu quero colocar essa ideia aqui entre parênteses, porque diz, quando as comunidades têm renda, diminui o desmatamento. O maior desmatamento não é feito por comunidades. O maior desmatamento é feito por quem tem dinheiro para comprar um trator, para quem tem dinheiro para comprar um correntão, para quem tem dinheiro para comprar uma draga, para quem tem dinheiro para abrir uma estrada no meio da floresta. Né? Não é a ideia de que são os pequenos. Tem pressão, mas longe de ser o grande desmatamento. A bioeconomia, né, a partir desses 10 princípios do G20, nos ajuda agora, né? Eu vou usar um termo que talvez não seja adequado, mas vai criando uma argamassa, uma linguagem que nos possibilita falar todos do mesmo jeito e caminhar numa direção, porque conseguimos, não é, esses princípios que são muito importantes. E eu queria dizer para os senhores, já finalizando, né, que no Brasil nós temos já um Plano Nacional de Bioeconomia, uma Política Nacional de Bioeconomia, temos identificado várias comunidades onde esses investimentos podem e já estão acontecendo, e nós temos trabalhado para que essas pessoas possam também ter acesso a crédito, assistência técnica. Não é fácil colocar de pé essa nova forma de produzir, essa nova forma de criar novos produtos, novos materiais e até mesmo novos paladares. Geralmente as pessoas falam muito do açaí, é maravilhoso, do cupuaçu, é maravilhoso, mas a floresta, em todos os biomas, as comunidades, tem muitas outras coisas a oferecer. E nós temos que diversificar esses produtos, porque senão daqui a pouco nós vamos estar de novo criando culturas homogêneas. Porque, infelizmente, nós, os ocidentais, temos um apetite e um paladar não educado. Nosso paladar e o nosso apetite é mal educado, porque a gente quer comer laranja o tempo todo, a gente quer comer abacaxi o tempo todo, uva o tempo todo, as coisas o tempo todo. Lá na floresta não é assim. Na floresta eu gostava muito de pama, é uma fruta da Amazônia, mas eu tinha que esperar 1 ano para comer a pama. Não estou dizendo que precisa disso não, tá bom? Pode ficar calmo, né? Eu gostava muito de guariúba, mas tinha que esperar 1 ano para comer guariúba. E eu posso citar aqui inúmeras frutas. É algo que a gente saboreia com tanto prazer no período em que ela existe. A gente, né, precisa diversificar. Quanto mais diversidade, mais a gente vai favorecer a bioeconomia. Eu acho que a gente precisa valorizar muito, né, os esforços técnicos, as métricas, tornar esses esforços todos, né, que o nosso desafio é ter uma infraestrutura crítica de implementação. O tecido conectivo que permitirá articular 4 pilares essenciais para a bioeconomia: métricas mensuráveis, instrumentos financeiros robustos, expansão de mercados e práticas sociais que fortaleçam a bioeconomia. E que a gente possa, não é, generosamente ir transformando nossas vantagens comparativas em vantagens colaborativas, cooperativas. E é isso que eu vejo que nós estamos criando um novo ciclo de prosperidade. Quando eu penso como era antigamente, que a bioeconomia acontecia num regime de semi-escravidão, eu fico vendo como fazer para que agora ninguém fique para trás. Os indígenas não fiquem para trás, as quebradeiras de coco, os pescadores, as pessoas, os seringueiros, os extrativistas, não fiquem para trás. E que haja esse casamento entre investidores que virão para esses investimentos, mas numa verdadeira sinergia entre essas formas. A Amazônia nos ensina muito. Ela é altamente diversificada. É incrível isso aqui. E ainda há pouco, na abertura do segmento ministerial, vocês viram as lindas fotos do nosso querido e saudoso Sebastião Salgado. Para mim foi muito forte e eu fiquei muito emocionada. E eu pensei, como não se comover vendo tudo aquilo? E como também não ficar triste, sabendo que quem teve a capacidade de captar tudo aquilo, já não está mais entre nós. A gente precisa entender que tudo que nós vamos fazer daqui para frente é para que o que ainda resta do melhor da nossa possibilidade de existência em todos os lugares do mundo, dos desertos à Amazônia, possam ser preservados. Eu sei que parece romântico, parece sonhador, e geralmente a gente, ultimamente, quer ser muito pragmático, mas para quem começou no regime de semi-escravidão na bioeconomia, vendo tudo que está acontecendo agora, vendo o chocolate já da bioeconomia do Juan, eu fico muito esperançosa, muito animada de que nós seremos capazes de criar esse novo ciclo de prosperidade, que seja diverso, que seja próspero, que seja justo, que seja sustentável e justo para todos. Não justo para alguns, justo inclusive para aqueles que não concordam conosco. Por isso que aqui nós já temos um pedacinho do mapa do caminho para o fim do desmatamento. Porque não se trata de fazer algo em que você apenas coloca regras, mas você coloca as bases para que possa, de fato, acontecer. Muito obrigada.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you, Minister, for sharing this dream for a new cycle of prosperity. Was this the group photo? Or should we do? Okay, can we ask you kindly to stand up, please, for a group and family photo? So, for the launch of the 3-year Bioeconomy Challenge, to make this dream happen. This marks the official launch of the Bioeconomy Challenge, led by the Brazilian Ministry, Nature Finance and Partners. After this family photo, we're going to go into the second part of the session. We hope that many of you can stay. Thank you, Excellency. Thank you, Minister. Thank you. And we're going to talk in the second part of this session, marking the launch of the Bioeconomy Challenge, about how this actually can happen, about the implementation of the dream. And as the first speaker, As the next speaker for the second part of the session, I'd like to invite Ms. Karina Pimenta, National Bioeconomy Secretary of Brazil, who also is the chair of the Bioeconomy Challenge and who has made this happen together with the team. So very much congratulations to you, and please, looking forward to your remarks.
Wow, so difficult to talk after my minister. but I'll take this energy that was surrounded us, a little bit of faith, a little bit of dream, but very concrete action as a team for the Bioeconomy Challenge. I'm so happy and excited to have this room full of people and all these messages coming that we have to be inclusive, that you have to transform the economy, and that we have all this group trying to build a roadmap that makes this happen, this concrete action come true. I will actually read now because it will help me go through. So, my colleagues, here at COP, we have been talking about COP being the implementation COP. We heard this before. We are now here at the second week, and we still think about this is the implementation COP. Are we done there? Do we have a clear roadmap for this implementation that lead us to the NDC targets that we announced, that lead us to the economic transition that we all talk about? Are we being too ambitious in the financial and political commitments that we need? I think we have the compass set by all these announcements that we have been done. The compass gives us the direction, and we already know where we have to go. But for sure, we do not have a vision on the ground, a clear vision on the ground. You know how the compacts work, yeah? So you go there, but there's a mountain there, there's a river there, there's forest around. And I think that's a little bit of the essence of the Bioeconomy Challenge. For bioeconomy become what the minister said, what the whole panel said, a clear roadmap for our targets in climate, and also in the coming Montreal, I have to say that, on reducing the loss of biodiversity. We need a very clear map so that bioeconomy becomes what we envision for it. That is inclusive, that help us with the different sectors that it touches upon, from food to biomaterials to bioenergy, that it offers a real and concrete roadmap for that. And in this roadmap, what we need is not only to talk about sectors, finance, and we need to talk about that, but not only that. We have to talk about the way we produce, so that the way we produce will lead us to the different direction from what we have seen before. That's why in the G20, when we were setting how to discuss bioeconomy, and my colleague is here from the MFA, we had so many conversations how that would be important for driving sustainable development to a new pathway that creates energy, that creates commitment, and that creates action. And one of the things that we most try to create the signal and the G20 is that not only the high-level principles were important, but in that we have to be sure that the sustainable use of our biodiversity in all different segments were put together as one of the key pillars of bioeconomy. And what we've seen here from Juan to Marina and to the others is that we refer to the forest as like a leading force for us to think about bioeconomy. But of course, bioeconomy goes from agriculture to industry to biotechnology to science, to traditional knowledge as science. So this is a very complex, and without a roadmap, we may fail in the pathway. And that's why the idea of getting this momentum of bioeconomy being there also means for us creating a space for these discussions to happen, for this energy that is being put by different, from private sector, from academia, from governments, from civil society, from communities, from indigenous groups, that we can have a place where we channel all this energy into the concrete actions. And that was the essence of the Bioeconomy Challenge, that we could create a space that will build on the different initiatives that were created. Our ambassador read a couple of those with FAO, who is here leading one of the initiatives, that we could create this cooperative environment to tackle very tough questions. I'm not saying the Bioeconomy Challenge is all about smile. It has to be about concrete action, and concrete action in 4 topics that for me are very intertwined and very connected. The most important one, for sure, is the metrics and standards, because it's where all relies. Markets, finance, the different segments, we wanted to know what we are talking about in the different countries. And this is something that the G20 and many other forums in bioeconomy all taught us. That bioeconomy is an extreme diverse space. It is not just about food, not about agriculture, not about biofuels, not only about social bioeconomy or indigenous and communities bioeconomy. It is about all that. And if it's about all that, it's not just one strategy. It's a way forward in changing the economic and the productive paradigm that lead us to a different place where we are now. And that was in this spirit that we created the bioeconomy with metrics, also discussing finance, and especially talking about finance, we are here trying to mobilize the 1.3 trillion that are needed for climate. If we put on this account the needed for biodiversity, we will increase this number. And then this is where we stand. And it is interesting because the speech of Juan Pablo reminds us of something that comes from my experience, that we invest a lot of time in mobilizing all these billions, and we are very happy when we make it concrete. But then comes the second challenge, that how we direct these billions also matter. It matters not only on the topic of bioeconomy, but on the distribution across these very diverse segments. And I ask for special attention on when we talk about community-led bioeconomy, this ancestral, this forest-driven economics, because the challenge there is not only to have billions, is to be able to reach them with $1,000, with $10,000, with $100,000. And that needs cooperation, that needs engagement, and that needs public political will. The third part of the bioeconomy challenge is the market development, and there's, I think, relies some of the most challenging pieces, because we need the metrics to say where the markets can differentiate. In the Brazilian public policy that we just launched, the national strategy together with the plan, that's one of the most important challenges for next year, to create a taxonomy that will enable us to know how to direct public procurement, how to direct finance, regulatory frameworks. And I know this in an international context, we create even more a complex scenario. So that's why we thank UNCTAD for leading this, and Chantal is here, this initiative on a global basis. And then, just to end my introduction to the Bioeconomy Challenge, I just wanted to say that one point for us was very clear. We could talk about metrics, finance, market, cooperation, but if we didn't have a very important special space that will look into the protagonism that communities needed, we would be failing. We would be failing from principle. And that's why the fourth area of the Bioeconomy Challenge is to create a space for all these demands that were channeled by Juan, but were also challenged by the South-South Declaration, by Just Transition, and by many spaces where you hear the voices of communities in many places, not only in Brazil, not only in the Amazon forest, but across the world in tropical forests and other areas where there is no economy alternative built for them. Because when everybody asks me, what is the GDP of bioeconomy? And then I have to say, yes, the GDP can be high, but I'm very interested in this piece that is very distributive. That the value that we added to what Marina said in ecosystem services, this actually becomes well-being, and that actually began income for these people. And that makes a huge difference in poverty reduction, in justice, and in inequalities. And so let's not use the challenges to say, okay, we want to see GDP growing only. We wanted to see distribution also growing. That's the whole of social bioeconomy that we will talk later on. And I thank WRI, World Resource Institute, for taking the role of leading this initiative for us around. I'm finishing here with a sense of hope, and seeing this group, this room full of people, and I know there's lots of energy here, lots of commitment here, that we don't lose this after COP. I always say we launched the bioeconomy here, but what happens in December, in January onwards, it's what really matters, is that we join the groups, that we put our energy, our resources, and our will to make this come true. I hope this is one of the pathways that we will see coming up at the roadmap for energy transition, for ending deforestation, and for a just transition to all. So thank you.
Thank you for these hopeful words. And as the next partner, Luana Meyer from Nature Finance, please. She will explain how you all can partner with the challenge to make it happen.
Bom dia, boa tarde. I know everybody is probably starving, so but by the end of my presentation, you will know how to join the Bioeconomy Challenge, so I think this keeps you awake and willing to be here with us. So thank you so much, Secretary Karina and all the team, Daniel and everyone, for inviting us to be the Secretary of the Bioeconomy Challenge. This is a process we started even before the G20, advocating for Minister of Foreign Affairs to insert nature and bioeconomy in the G20 agenda. The next challenge was to put nature and bioeconomy in the COP30 agenda, which we are very grateful that we made it, Marcelo Bear and so many other friends. I keep saying that if someone that was here in Belém or is in Belém doesn't know yet what bioeconomy is, haven't been here, because this is all about the bioeconomy in a way. Everybody's talking about bioeconomy. And our main goal now with the Bioeconomy Challenge is to turn all these principles into action. And I'm very honored that Nature Finance is playing this role. And what I can promise is that we are and we will do our best to make it in a very tangible and concrete project in the next 3 years. 3 years. So I will have a brief presentation here. Don't know if it's already on. Yes, thanks. So just to remind all of us, what are the high-level principles on bioeconomy? Although we at G20 didn't define what a bioeconomy is, because it's such a broad concept that was discussed already. The dialogue with several of the agreements we have, not only the Paris Agreement, but the CUMI and all of them. And our goal now is to turn all these principles into action. And although they seem to be sometimes vague, they are based on such a beautiful, so many beautiful conventions that we already have in frameworks. And also very important to what Minister Marina Silva said, we do respect in these principles the combination between technology but also traditional knowledge. So I would like to mention that one of the principles, the principle 6, is about this as well. We will have, as it was said, this multi-stakeholder platform. So what we're going to have is a steering committee that is made by government, private sector, civil society, and we already have Brazil, Germany, and WBCSD on board, and we are still looking forward to representatives from indigenous and traditional people and academia. We are going to also have an advisory group that doesn't have, cannot vote, but it's like a joint group that's going to advise us. And we do work as Secretary of Nature Finance and have these 4 working groups led by FAO, Metrics and Standards, Financial Mechanism led by IADB, UNCTAD leading the Market Development one, and Social Bioeconomy that is a working group, but we expect it to work very cross-cutting all over the 4 working groups. And what we expect in each working group, we expect the metrics working group to establish standardized bioeconomy parameters by turning the 10 high-level principles into specific measurable metrics and indicators, and how we can show that bioeconomy can help achieving NDCs and BSAP's national adaptation plans, but also very important to notice how vulnerable bioeconomy is in terms of climate change and nature loss. So we must work very fast on these correlations. We want to create the opportunities to create all this market development for bioeconomy and expanding international trade. So as you can also see, we just started the discussions. We just had first meetings of all working groups. So our expectation is to have this group together, define what are the priorities, and some of the priorities are already detailed in the website of UNFCCC. You can check or talk to me or to us later to know how we are evolving, who are the partners we want to have in these working groups to make this a very concrete and actionable plan. We don't expect, for instance, to have a group of 50 organizations. We are thinking about having 15, 20 very knowledgeable organizations that are already working on these items, in these topics, to make this very recognized internationally and having all the voices from Global North and Global South in order to make this a common standard for all stakeholders and countries. We have the financial mechanisms working group that aims at identifying the innovations on finance and capable of mobilizing significant resource and ensuring de-risking mechanisms. And finally, we have this working group to work on the social bioeconomy that aims at leaving no one behind, as beautifully our minister said, and create a bioeconomy that is not only positive for nature, but also climate and people. This is our main statement. Finally, what we have done so far in a month and a half, 2 months, so bear with us because we will work hard, but we just started, there's a lot to come. So we had this ideation and developed a plan to acceleration solution based on the high-level principles. So the rule is, you must agree on the high-level principles on bioeconomy if you want to join this platform. This is the most important criteria. We started having several bilaterals to engage players as we have in the working groups to join the initiative we are launching here. And we are going to develop in 2025, 2026, because the year hasn't ended for us yet. We're going to develop the roadmap and implementation plan. And our first outcomes and what we expect to achieve by 2028 is the global bioeconomy metrics framework, a robust financial architecture, barriers reduced, markets expanded, and empowering communities through toolkits. And we will keep the monitoring and evolution of all these steps as we go. And how you can join? How you can engage. So everyone can engage, so it's much broader than the G20 initiative on bioeconomy that was fully, of course, dedicated to countries. Now you can have communities, funders, academia, research centers, startups, companies. So we really want to have all these stakeholders in the working groups and have a cross-cutting activities among them, and also engage from global North and Global South. As I said, must endorse the 10 high-level principles on bioeconomy, work together to translate these principles into actions, and commit to attend meetings. So we keep saying that this is a working group that wants to deliver several tasks by the end of the next years. And if you need and if you want, have more information, well, I was going to share the QR code for you to access the landing page, but I just would like to share that we already have 63 organizations that have expressed interest all over the world. As you can see, we are still missing financial institutions, so if anyone is here, please join our team. And we still want several players that are not only Brazilians. As you can say, we have 32 members from the Latin America, but we're still missing representativeness from Africa, from Asia. So you are more than welcome to join, and we are looking forward to it. And this is what I was going to share. If you want to join, if you want to know more about it, please contact us in this email, and please access our landing page that is in this QR code. Thank you very much, and hope to see you very soon.
Thank you so much. A big apology to all of you, because we have been running over a little bit of time, but it's difficult after such a high-powered, maybe you want to take place here? Yeah. After this high-powered beginning with the ministers speaking, so I think we'll have to wrap up in 20 minutes because the next event is coming. I want to introduce you to a special envoy, Marcelo Behar, on bioeconomy, one of the powerhouses that has been driving this topic to the stage, who will be moderating the next panel. And you have to do it, unfortunately, in 10 to 15 minutes. So I welcome you to the stage. Before I just ask the other participants, Kaveh Sahedi, Director of Climate and Biodiversity at FAO, who leads the Metrics Working Group, please. Gregory Watson, Chief of Biodiversity Natural Capital Unit at the IDB, who leads the Financial Mechanisms Working Group. Welcome. Chantal Lien Carpentier, from UNCTAD, Chief of Environment, Climate and Sustainable Development, leading the Market Development Working Group, and Craig Hansen from WRI, the Director on the General Programs. Welcome to the stage, and I hand over to my friend Marcelo Behar to lead us through the next minutes.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome again. My name is Marcelo Behar. Just like to thank Karina for the amazing Bioeconomy Challenge, and thank also, please stand up, Daniel, Harold, Thaisa, Jordana, Marcelo Furtado, Caio Magri, Marco van der Hee, Luciana Villanova, please stand up. You are also part of the Bioeconomy Challenge. Super congrats. Juliana, please, from Sebedis. Thank you so much. It's great to be with all of you today. I'd like to start with you, who's right here, close to me. Please, can you tell us a little bit more about the, we just have 15 minutes for everyone, so this will be like the running panel of bioeconomy. It's really, that's why it's called challenge, right? Yeah, so let's start with FAO. And the work that FAO is putting together and everything that we are doing. I know many concepts between North and South, but it's very important for us to align the stars and to create the conditions for bioeconomy to thrive. So please tell us, what can we do to bring this to life?
Very good. Can you hear me there? Yeah. Thank you very much, Marcelo. So, at FAO, we started to work on bioeconomy in an official sense about 10 years ago. I'm not going to walk you through a 10-year journey on bioeconomy. But I would like to tell you about the sort of the pillars that work has, because that's what countries have felt was important. Those are the building blocks that countries have asked us to essentially put together. It was about data, information, and knowledge, which is very much reflected in what we're doing here. It was about partnerships. It's about policy coherence. And it's about bioeconomy innovations on the ground. So those are the four pillars, or the building blocks within the FAO context. And I think that in those 10 years, we have seen bioeconomy, maybe slowly but surely, gaining momentum. If you look at the bioeconomy dashboard that we just released last week, you can see that trajectory. Right now, we have about 27 countries and 3 regions formally adopting dedicated bioeconomy strategies. Of course, if you take it more broadly, if you look at countries that go to biotechnology, etc., it's going to be a much broader set. So they have, in a way, that vision, that roadmap, Karina, that you mentioned, already in many countries, quite clearly detailed, quite clearly established. And I think that's when you look across those, I'm happy to say that many of them have the elements, the high-level principles embedded in them, including what's important for us here, climate action, how to use the bioeconomy as an approach to also deal with our climate challenges. And I think this is where the Bioeconomy Challenge can help to maintain that momentum. Within FAO, we have been asked by our members to get together a partnership, a multi-stakeholder global bioeconomy partnership. And you see many of those partnerships, as you correctly mentioned, And I think they are like a constellation, and we have to take them as that. We have to see how can we bring all this constellation together, not with one central piece, but respecting each with the pieces that they bring to the table. Of course, a big part of what we do is on data, knowledge, and metrics. We've been working on that for a long time. In 2021, you would have seen that we launched the aspirational principles and criteria for sustainable bioeconomy. And I hope that also fed into and was helpful for the G20 process. And we've now picked up the G20 process, Brazil inspirational. South Africa has continued with the deep dive on the metrics piece. And really, I guess that's where we find ourselves now. We have a decade worth of experience. We have countries that are very much ready. We've had experiments in the metrics. We've had experiments in the on-the-ground innovations. We've had experiments on the trade, all the elements that now make up the bioeconomy. What we haven't managed to do is scale it up. Yeah? It's still very much a niche market. It's a niche market, and I think that's our challenge as a bioeconomy challenge, right? To take it out of the niche into the mainstream. And in that sense, we'd be delighted, and we are delighted, to work in particular in bringing the metrics piece that we're already working on at FAO into the context of the challenge, and to move with that, the partnership, and everything else that is being launched here today. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Café. And we have, FAO is central because the main market we have to shift with bioeconomy is agriculture, for sure. We have the privilege to have Gonzalo with us today from Ambition Loop as well, who's helping on this initiative and putting together food systems and connecting the three Rio conventions. Now I'm going to Gregory Watson from IDB, and we need to connect all geographies, right? I think we are still lacking a lot of representation from Africa, Asia, but we'll get there. And here, connecting all the biomes in South America and connecting the Amazon as a whole, IDB has been doing a great work. There is already a line on bioeconomy being sponsored also by the Green Climate Fund, connecting the regions. So please, can you tell us a little bit more about the work that you're putting together for the challenge, and how can we move ahead in 2 minutes?
Sure. Speed dating. So thanks so much for having me here. As you mentioned, we have the flagship program Amazonia Forever, and under the program, we manage the first multi-country bioeconomy fund. It's supported by concessional climate finance, and it has the dedicated focus on the Amazon. And it creates that link between conservation and advancing bioeconomy. And that has allowed us to learn a lot. We've created networks, we've created platforms across countries, we've worked with other multilateral development banks, but the national development banks as well, which are quite important in this space. And also to design the first public policies aligned to this bioeconomy line. And what we've achieved in Amazonia can actually serve as a model for other major biomes and other ecosystems globally. And that's where we're trying to work with the countries for their own priorities, their own actions, where do they want to focus their resources, and where are those gaps? So why is the bioeconomy challenge exciting for us? It's a great opportunity. We see it as a recognition of collective progress, the G20 high-level principles that were mentioned. Internally at the IDB, to give some life to those, we're actually working to integrate them into our own thematic framework on how we define bioeconomy inside the IDB and for our projects, so that this lives on beyond just the G20 process. And we're also working to support the shaping of the working group on financing. And so by the end of 2028, we hope to significantly contribute to building the robust, inclusive, and financial architecture for bioeconomy, for innovation, enterprise, infrastructure. And so what do we need to do that? We need significant mobilization of resources with a clear level of ambition. We need innovative financial instruments that are focused on strategic biomes. And we need these distribution mechanisms, which I'm very happy we're focused on earlier today, because it's not just about having the money in the air, it's about getting it to the ground. So what are some of the activities we can do? Engaging these key actors, banks, institutional investors, insurers, and others in the financial architecture discussion, identifying and promoting incentives to increase the investments, supporting the development of blended finance mechanisms, and then fostering connections between Working Group 1 on metrics and also this working group, which will actually need to provide the finance, and the results-based finance will depend on those metrics. And then looking at how do we work with SMEs, microfinance, with venture capital, and look at the nexus across the different SDGs. And so the low-hanging fruits really are around scaling what's work, looking at ARPA, communities, habitat banks, looking at payment for environmental services, and the tangible benefits of the bioeconomy. And with that, I'm going to move on because I know we're running out of time.
Thank you so much, Gregory. And we had a comment from the metrics, a comment from the financial, and now we are going to take a comment from the market development, which is crucial for this to thrive. It's really companies who are moving the needle, and private sector must step in. Chantal, soyez bienvenue. And welcome to Belém. How are we going to move the needle on markets, and how are we bringing everyone to the bioeconomy channel?
Yeah, well, clearly the goal is to expand markets, right? But also diversify, as Minister Marina da Silva mentioned. And we could do that how? By increasing national productive capacity and know-how, and through, of course, capacity building and partnership. The goal should be is right now, and what I'll do is I'll do like everyone else, since we're so short on time, build what is it that UNCTAD will contribute based on our expertise. We've been working for almost 3 decades on sustainable use of biodiversity and program on biotrade. And what we learned from that is that you need the ecosystem to work together. And this is why I congratulate the Brazilian for having these 4 working groups and bringing us all together. But these principles and guidelines have been used now in more than 80 countries. And they basically, but it's not enough to just work. You need to know the flow of these goods and services. So we've developed through HS Code, basically the flow of these biodiversity being traded, biodiversity-based products. But right now it's only 50 billion of them that is sustainable or circular bioeconomy. We need that to bring that to the trillion total. The second one we're going to build on is circular economy. So basically, we've done research and support innovators in enterprise, and I'll give you a specific example. So basically, banana and pineapple leaves, they get skipped to the floor, they get sent to the landfill, they get burned and emit CO2. We provided grant for innovators to basically transform these waste, preserved waste, into fibers, non-plastic substitute, and fertilizers. So basically, this is another part of the bioeconomy that we really need to push forward. And then the third one is that combine the biotrade and the circular economy is something that's much more recent that we just launched at the UN conference on Ocean Conference, and this is basically the UN Global Seaweed Initiative with Indonesia, Madagascar, and France. Chile and hopefully Brazil would join as well. And this is basically another example of a platform. So this is a new sector being developed. We want to make sure they're not extractive, they're inclusive, they're sustainable. To do that, we need to, from the get-go, get together and through this platform, develop the right metrics, the right finance system, the right market development, and train the actors to ensure we get there. So UNCTAD can't do it alone. This is huge. We count on all of you for financing, for know-how, for capacity, so we can all get there. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup. Plus que parfait. Yesterday, Renata Cabrera and I, we were walking here and we met Davi Yanomami, probably one of the biggest philosophers of our times. And we were discussing what he wanted out of COP. And he said, for the people of the merchandise to listen to the people from the forest. That's because we're all in the same world. So here, connecting traditional communities, I think, is pivotal, it's central, it's what we really need to engage and to bring innovation, as you saw in the 10 high-level principles for bioeconomy. Innovation and traditional knowledge should walk hand in hand. Craig, how can we do that? Who are we bringing in? Please step in.
Great. Good to see everyone today. I'm Craig Hansen, Managing Director of Programs at WRI, and I think we're at a landmark moment here. Just think about this. More than 10 years ago, around this time, the Global Commission on the Climate and the Economy launched its first report, The New Climate Economy. It was 2014. Before that time, it was a dichotomy. You can have your climate or you can have your economy, but not the both. You can have your nature, you can have your economy, but not both. The new climate economy set the agenda, set the analysis, no, you can actually have your climate and your economy too. It set that agenda. That was a first step, right, on this. Second point I'd like to make is we've come a long ways from that to where we are today. Bioeconomy, I don't think, was even a word in the new climate economy in the 2014 report. It's risen on the agenda massively and quickly over the past decade here. In fact, I think WRI was part of a group of like 50 entities led by a bunch of esteemed Brazilian researchers that published a year ago, 2 years ago, NIA, the New Economy of the Amazon, which really put bioeconomy on the agenda in the spirit of what the new climate economy did. it's amazing to see actually how that's actually then spun off and got a lot of interest going forward. So you can have your climate in your economy, you can have your biodiversity through the bioeconomy. My third and final point I would make is this point about the socio-economy and how socio-bioeconomy is actually fundamental. And as you saw earlier, Deborah is a co-lead on the socio-bioeconomy working group, especially through our Deborah Brazil, led by Mirella, right over there here. It's interesting, as we heard from the ministers panel, the fundamental importance of people. We talk about bioeconomy, but people are the underlying element of making it work. It's got to work for people. It's got to work for the traditional people, the people that live in and around these ecosystems we're trying to save and to restore. And it's good. The good news is actually we're seeing hints of it already. We don't have to start from scratch. I look at our work that we're doing in Indonesia through social forestry. That's bioeconomy, right? You think of what's happening called community forestry in the Congo Basin. That's bioeconomy. You look in Mexico and Central America where you see community forest enterprises. That's bioeconomy, right? So there are elements of it here. We just need to build upon that, right, and grow the agenda. And just a few days ago, our very own Wanjira Matai announced the formation of community-led forest economies, basically an approach to bring together all the basins that you saw on the screen earlier today together to form basically a movement towards bioeconomy around forests. And so I want to pick up what one of the colleagues here said, we got to move from niche to mainstream. I could not agree more. Hopefully today is the moment that we create that movement. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Craig, and thanks to all of the panelists. Thanks to everyone who's here. Thanks to my big friend, Karina, Luana, to all of us who are bringing together the Bioeconomy Challenge. On behalf of the COP presidency, it's my pleasure to say that we're still deciding the next venue for COP. Probably COP32 will be in Ethiopia. So I think there will be a big cycle on nature, a big cycle. Today is Nature Day for COP, and we'll have now the Bioeconomy Challenge running for the 3 next years. Harold, sharp on time as you requested. Thank you so much. Have a great day and see you. Oh, and tomorrow we'll have the Metrics meeting. So the Metrics working group, please join. Cafe is the one leading it. And the photo.